What's up, SMIE fam? This is Nate and we are back again with another video. So today I want to get into the last part of this 3-part short networking series that I was doing with the final topic that I wanted to discuss, which is going to be on security. Big topic, big topic. Lots of focus on security in the IT world today. But I want to take this time to give you guys a fundamental understanding of what security is, how it works, and what it's all about, right? So, stick around, let's get to it. So, security. What is it all about? Age-old question. Well, to be honest, it's pretty much what the name implies. It's all about security, securing your network, securing your devices, your phone, your laptop, your TV, your tablet, etc. And by extension, securing all that data that you may have stored on those devices, which is the important stuff right there, right? So, how does it work? Well, if you think about, let's say, your house or your car or your workplace or the bank or a safe, the concept of security is pretty much the same. All these things have a layer of security, and some of them even have multiple layers of security. And if you think about it, a first layer could be something like a door. The door as a first layer of security exists so that someone or something can't easily get access to any of these things. Then you add another layer of security to that, like a lock. Put a lock on a door and now you need a key. Double layer of security. Then you can up the ante even more and add a bolt. And then, bolts lock from the inside, so you can't access it from the outside. So boom, another layer of security. Triple layered security. If you think that's still not enough, how about you add some burglar bars? For all my Jamaicans in the house, burglar bars equal grill. You know we're talking about the grill when we say burglar bars. So just, remember that. Burglar bars, grill. Yeah. Then after we've gone with burglar bars, we take it even a step higher and we install some security cameras. So now you have a surveillance system. Next level security. You kind of get where this is going now, right? So, this is essentially what network security is. You're securing every aspect of your digital presence, and you're starting at the very core, which is your network. Now, in network design, there are basically 3 layers that are focused on. And those of you who may have done some intro to networking course or anything similar to that may be familiar with these layers already. But you have your core layer, you have your distribution layer, and you have your access layer. Now, network design focuses on those 3 layers, but then when you add network security to the mix, it brings in another layer that I like to actually call the user layer. Now, other people might call it the same thing. They might call it something different, but I like to call it the user layer. This is where network security now becomes the more encompassing topic of information security. With this, now you're not just focused on the security of your network or your infrastructure, but now you're going to start to focus on security around the user and their data. Now, the reason for this is, as we have already established, and if you think about it, your data is the most important thing, right? Think about it. What kind of data do you have stored online? Or even locally, there may be credit card info, banking info, address information, family info, and the list can go on, right? All of this is sensitive data though. Think about the dangers that you might face if this data was to be stolen. Credit card fraud, ransomware issues, identity theft. Like, there's so much that could happen and is happening now in today's world. This has become so prevalent today that a lot more companies and individuals have started placing much more emphasis on security. So, that being said, where would be a good starting point when looking at security? Well, a good strategy would be to first ensure that all the access points on your physical infrastructure or your network or your devices are secured. Networks have a lot of ingress and egress, or entry and exit points. So when you start to think about security, these are the points that you want to ensure that you secure first. Let's take a look at this diagram. Remember this? Well, alright, probably not. If you weren't following from the routing video or from the switching video, you probably won't remember it. But this is your typical basic network topology design, right? This is your basic network topology design. It more so represents a corporate topology based on the amount of devices that are illustrated, but your home network with your home ISP provider is based pretty much on the same design, just maybe not all of the devices separately you won't have in your home, but all of these devices may actually be pooled into one device. Now, looking at this, how many entry points do you think there are in this this topology to your network? Well, I can tell you that there are at least 12 points of entry here that a hacker can use to actually get into your network. Yeah, 12. Let's look at them. Let's count them so that you'll have a better idea as to where these points are. Let me first maximize this diagram. Let me first get it a little bit bigger so that we can look at each point individually. All right, here we go. So first thing that we're going to look at, well, you notice that the network starts from your service provider equipment, right? But we're not going to look at that right now because we don't really have control over your service provider equipment. Well, you won't really have that control in your network. So let's look at where we actually have control. We'll mention the service provider equipment a little later on down the line. All right, so we're going to start with your router, right? Now, this is your standard router that you might have at the edge of your network. And this router here has two ports, GE1, GE2, right? Those are the two ports on this router. So that already is 2 points of entry into your network. Yes, these are physical entry points as well as logical entry points, meaning that a user or a hacker can actually get into your network by virtually logging into the terminal on your router through either one of these ports, or they can physically connect a device into these ports and get access to your network. This is what we talk about when we mention physical versus logical, right? But so far, you've already got 2 ports of access into your network, and those 2 ports are on your router. That's your primary core device. Now, let's move on to your switch. Now, this is your typical 8-port fast Ethernet switch. And that would mean that you have 8 ports that a hacker can hack into your network through. 8 points of access. So now your number has moved up to 10. 2 ports on your router, GE1 and GE2. Now you're on the switch. And there are 8 additional ports here that are physical ports that a hacker can actually connect to and hack into your network, get information, wreak havoc, all sorts of things on this 8-port switch. So that's 10 ports already, 10 points of entry, I should say, right? Now let's move on to the next device, which is your Wi-Fi device. Your Wi-Fi device is also another point of entry into your network. A hacker can hack in through your Wi-Fi signal, or if your Wi-Fi has ports on it that they can physically connect to, they can hack in through physically connecting to your Wi-Fi as well and getting onto your network. Yeah, so how much are we up to now? That's what? 11. So we're at 11 points of entry into your network, right? Now, let's move from that to your user devices. So your PCs, your laptops, your tablets, your whatsoever the case may be. These are also points of entry into your network. Now, you can have like 1,000,001 tablets and laptops and PCs and whatsoever on your network. So let's just group this all and call it one. So there's at least 12 points of entry that gives access to your network to a hacker, right? because your device becomes a part of the network once it's connected to it, whether wirelessly or wired, but it's still going to function while you're off the network, and each of your devices now automatically become this ingress point into your network as well. Because as we mentioned, hackers can hack into your devices as well. They can use tools like viruses and malware, and they can embed those stuff in things like emails and fake websites, and from there they can get access and run amok in your entire network, stealing information, wiping data, ransoming data. Oh man, there's so much that can happen if a hacker gets access to your network through any of these entry points, whether it be through physical entry points like exist on your switch and on your router, or through devices like your tablets and your phone and your laptop and your PC, using things like malware and viruses, fake emails, stuff like that, right? Now there's one other point to mention, which I spoke about before, which was your service provider equipment. Now, your service provider equipment is also a point of entry into your network, but you don't really have control over this more often than not. More often, this is controlled by your service provider, and typically, they tend to try and keep their equipment, that access point, as secure as possible from their side. So this is not so much an area of concern as are the other devices that may exist on your network. The great thing though is that each of these devices come with some kind of built-in security method that helps to protect your devices as entry and exit points on your network. For example, router port access can be controlled by things like access lists. And then there are device access control methodologies like the AAA protocol, which is authentication, accounting, and authorization. Then there's also local authentication, which is where you authenticate a user locally on the device. So if you're connecting to the device, you're going to have to enter a username and password in order to get access. Switches also have their port protection functionality, like things like PBDU guards, and they also have local authentication, and a lot of switches can also be set up with the AAA protocol as well. Then there are third-party devices like firewalls and breach detection systems with features like Unified Threat Management, or UTM as it's known, which kind of bundles things like intrusion protection and intrusion detection and malware and antivirus protection, as well as content filtering and maybe a wireless application firewall or stuff like that, or web application firewall. Yeah, needless to say, security is a huge topic, major talking point. There's a whole lot to it, and as we get into more advanced security practices, I'm going to try and cover a lot, or as much of these points for you as I possibly can, and give you a chance to see as much of this in action as I possibly can as well. For now though, this is all I have for you today, and I hope that it was enough to give you a fundamental understanding for those of you who are just starting out, or even a better understanding for those of you who have already started in this field of the concepts and technologies that are involved, from routing to switching to this video's topic, which is security. Now, this is by no means all there is to any of the topics that we've discussed so far, and as we go along you will get to see how far the rabbit hole goes, and believe me, it goes pretty far. So stick around with me as I try and bring all of this information to the light and make it as simple as possible for everybody to understand. If you've enjoyed this video today, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and hitting that notification bell so that you won't miss any of the content that we post. Thank you guys for watching and sticking around with me through this series and this video, and I will catch you guys on the next one.